What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. We are back. This is the calm before the storm. It's about to get crazy tomorrow. It's about to get fucking crazy.
Doesn't get bigger than this, does it? This is it. This feels like the weekend where makes or breaks us, really. Not even makes us, really. It can break us, but not make us, if you know what I mean. If we win, it's still very much tight, but if we lose, it feels like that's the end.
If we win, it's all on the next game.
Yeah, exactly.
But if we lose, it feels like it could be
over.
It could be curtains for Spurs in the Premier League. Look, let's try and stay calm. Let's try to stay calm, cool, collected, because it's, I think it could be a bit of a sleepless night tonight going in tomorrow. Spurs play the same time as West Ham. But let's start off with a Tottenham update, and let's start off talking on the team news for tomorrow, starting off with Destiny Udogie. And on Destiny, Roberto De Zerbi says, Destiny has a muscular problem. I think he can't play tomorrow. It's not a big problem. I hope Udogie could come back to face Aston Villa next week. I have a big opinion on Destiny. He's a crucial player for us. We are lucky because we can play with Jed Spence, another important player and another very good guy. But yeah, we knew Destiny was, was going to be a big risk going into this game, and he's probably not going to be playing.
Yeah, it's bad news. We've obviously discussed it. Luckily, I think the good news is he's saying that it isn't going to be more than just this week. He's hoping he'll be back for Villa. So that's obviously quite an important. That's quite important because I think, as De Zerbi says, he's a very important player for us. And I think when we have Spencer left back, if we've discussed it the whole season, we just don't look the same threat on that side, do we? And I think the combination of Udogie and Xavi is much better than Spence and Xavi, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think it's a blow, but hopefully it's not too much of a blow. Hopefully he'll be back for the run-in after this game, and hopefully we can handle this game without him.
Yeah, the only problem I've got with it is like how many times we heard Destiny's going to be back for next week, then we don't see him for quite some time. So let's just hope he's back for next week because he is a massive player for us. Next up, we are going to talk about James Maddison, Spurs' best cheerleader at this moment in time. And Roberto De Zerbi says, no, he is not available to play yet, especially in this week. He felt pain, but not so important pain. Tomorrow he'll come on the bench because he's important whether he plays or not. And yeah, look, I when I saw him on the bench last week, I never thought he'd play a minute, even if Spurs were desperate. And yeah, I think this just proves that Maddison's just on the bench for his leadership ability, his vibes, and for his cheerleading abilities.
Yeah, obviously, the fact that he's been feeling pain this week is not great as well. So that means, does it delay his comeback even more? You want to be pain-free, for as long as possible for returning. So are we going to see him for the end of the season? I still think so. But I think it just goes to show how important he is within the dressing room, and how because it's a bit weird to me. You don't have to be actually named on the bench to be on the bench. You know what I mean? He can just be on the bench.
Yeah, it also gives the fans a bit of a lift as well.
Yeah, but we know he's not playing. If he's admitting he's not playing, it's a bit of a waste of a space, isn't
Maybe
it?
those social media fans won't know.
I mean, it's a bit of a waste of a space, in my opinion. It's a bit of it's an interesting way to use a bench space.
The reality is, right, who are you going to put in instead of him on the bench?
I don't know who's not. At
the end of the day, you're probably putting an academy player on the bench, right? That's not going to get on the pitch anyway. So I don't think it makes too much of a difference.
Yeah, I guess so, but it's just interesting to use a bench space for a player who's not is not going to play. I feel like it's a bit of an interesting way, because he could be on the bench either way or be in the dressing room. He doesn't have to be officially named on the bench to be in and around the tean, or even in the dressing room, or even sat on the bench as well. Yeah. So to be named is a bit weird if he's not going to play. But as I was going to say, it shows the power of his leadership and the power of that he has in that dressing room, that him being there has such an influence and effect, and his positivity. He's a very positive person. We've seen that in his videos, haven't we, on YouTube, of the positivity he kind of brings to the team. And it shows the impact he can have. So look, I don't really care that much. I just think I don't think I've ever seen this before. a player named on the bench who's not going to play just for the vibes.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a weird situation.
Yeah, well, we've never seen Spurs as low as we are, so they're just trying each and everything to raise some morale some way. But I get what you're saying completely. Vicario, he says he's not available for tomorrow. I hope he can start with me from Monday. Antonin is playing very well. I hope Vicario can come back in the best physical condition because he's a very important player for us. I mean, with Vicario, they told us he was going to be back 2 weeks ago, and he's still not even training. So, look, I don't have a problem with it. I said last week, I'm more than happy with Antonin Kinski to retain his spot. And like De Zerbi said, I agree. I think he's doing very well.
Yeah, he's having a good time of it, so no need to rush him back at this current moment in time. He said last week after the game against Brighton that Vicario is going to be training on Monday, and obviously that hasn't transpired, so clearly the recovery is taking longer than expected.
Or maybe something else is going on in the background.
Maybe it's scandals afoot for Vicario.
He's embroiled in some prostitution ring scandal in Italy, which is just nuts.
Yeah, well, allegedly. Allegedly. We don't really know the full story there, but he's been pictured with something. I don't really know the full story and his involvement, but doesn't sound great for Vicario. But I don't think the hernia is fake. I think he does have a hernia and he has had an operation. But whether this has come to light in recent days and that's delaying things, we'll have to wait and see. But now he's saying he hopes to be back with the squad on Monday. So it's been a week about delay with this injury. So at the moment, I'm happy with Kinski, as you say. I don't have a problem with him. He's doing well. Albeit, I would say it's a bit of a weird one because he's playing well, but he actually hasn't had to make too many saves over the past.
Long may that continue, my friend. Long may that continue.
No, it's true. Absolutely.
All right, so that's Vicario. Kulusevski, he says, I'm sorry for him because he is one of my perfect players. He is a very specific player for me, like Kudus, like Romero. But I hope for him he can play at the World Cup because the World Cup for a player is a moment, is the best period of their career. But I don't know the situation very well. So yeah, it doesn't seem too hopeful on Decky getting back on the pitch this season. Yeah,
he's kind of implying we're not going to see him, which is obviously a massive blow for him and for us. He hasn't been training with the team like Maddison at all this season. So that would suggest even if he were to come back right now, would he need a month with the team to be up to speed? So, yeah, I don't expect to see him at all this season. Let's just hope and pray he does come back. Literally, I think we're at that stage. Let's hope he comes back at some point and can get back to his best as soon as possible because, it's, as we've said many times, it's a very awkward, very rare, complicated injury that he does have. And I know there's a few players who that kind of injury has really ruined their career and scuppered it. So let's hope Kulusevski doesn't fall into that category. We're just hoping for him at the moment. And it's a big call, obviously, if he does go to the World Cup, having not played at all this season.
Yeah,
it's a big call for Potter to take him, yeah.
I think it'd be mad if he goes to the World Cup being over a year out. Mm-hmm. It would be crazy just to come in and start playing a game every 3-4 days in a World Cup.
Yeah, especially if he hasn't been involved in any warm-up games as well with the friendlies and stuff like that. If he's going straight into the tournament, a bit of a crazy situation.
Yeah, I think even if he is fit to play, I don't think he goes to the World Cup. I think he'll just be too unmatched fit. You need players like Raring to go match fit for World Cups with, games coming thick and fast. So I find it highly fanciful to talk about him going to a World Cup.
But he is such a big player for them.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like I'm trying to think of a comparison, but he is one of their main players, and he's one of those players where when fit he plays. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying he should definitely play or go. I'm just saying he's one of those players where you do make exceptional kind of.
It's true, but he's taking up a spot of a player that can actually play and make a difference. Like he won't be able to make a difference. He might be able to play.
He might do.
Nah, he's not going to be fit enough.
They have to make that. Well, if let's say you bring him in as a super sub. Can play 15-20 minutes at the end of games. Maybe he can. Who knows?
Physically, I just can't see it.
I think it's unlikely at this point, but they have to make that judgment later down the line. He's not even back playing yet, so he might not even make it at this point. I think it's unlikely he'll make it, I would say. But if he gets back in the next few weeks and then has a month's training before the World Cup, maybe.
And on Pape Matar Sarr, he says, Sarr felt pain in his shoulder this week. He didn't work with the group and he's not available. So obviously this is with the injury that he picked up on international duty with Senegal. He's come back and now he's out again. This shoulder injury seems to not be going away.
So was he not in the squad at all last week?
Last week, I'm not sure if he was last week.
He came on.
Yeah, Sunderland he played. Last week, I can't remember if he was in the squad or not.
Yeah, he obviously didn't play a minute. Not great for him. to be out with another injury. Obviously, right
he wasn't
now
in the squad.
Was in the squad. Didn't even notice that. Let's just hope it doesn't sound too serious, but the fact that, again, another player's come back from injury and then got injured again with the same injury. So another one for the recurring pattern of players redoing the injury they've been out injured for. So not great for that point of view. Obviously, I feel like he'd struggle at the moment to get minutes with Bentancur back, Basuma being favoured, Gallagher there. So, yeah, I don't think it's a massive blow, but obviously it's a big blow for him.
And last but not least, he did mention in more positive news that Souza is back and available, which I was unaware of an injury that he even had. But he wasn't in the 2 last match day squads, but looks like he could potentially be in the squad tomorrow.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was about to say, I don't remember him picking up an injury or anything like that, but he's going to have to be because with the doggy injured, Spence playing there, if he's going to be our backup left back again. So important he's in the squad.
Yeah. Regarding some potential transfers, let's talk about Marcos Senesi. We've spoken a lot about him over the past 10 days or so. Florian Plettenberg says that Marcos Senesi and Tottenham have reached an agreement in principle. The 28-year-old top centre-back has given his commitment to join Spurs on a free transfer in the summer, saying that if Tottenham stay in the Premier League, it is now up to Tottenham. Nothing is signed just yet. So it's up to Tottenham to stay in the Premier League, and then Marcos Senesi will be a Tottenham player.
Usually when there's a report saying the ball's in Tottenham's court, it's all about wages
Money
offered or something. And now it's like, can you stay in the Prem? Because this guy will sign. Let's just hope and pray. Look, we know we've been discussing it again for weeks and weeks about how different our transfer policy and transfers are going to be, whether we stay up or not. I think Senesi will be a really good signing. Obviously, it does signal probably some outgoings in that position, which is not a great situation. But at the end of the day, we have to face up to the fact that where we are and the situation we're in. And even if we do stay up, it's been well documented as well, the financial potential risks that we might have, even if we do stay up. So I think there are going to have to be some big sales. Obviously, it's going to be a lot more. It'll be a lot more if we go down. But if we stay up, there's probably going to have to be some players sold anyway, because we're not going to have any European football and we have big debt. So I think picking up someone like Senesi on a free is a good situation. Albeit, again, this is a player. It's easy to forget that last year had a very serious injury. This season he's come back and done really well. But we have history with injuries, don't we? So picking up a player who's just had on the back of a very serious injury and expecting him to play a lot of minute or most of our games, we'll have to wait and see how that goes.
The reality is, I don't think it matters if he's had an injury or not, because you can come here with a clean bill of health for the last 5 years and your entire career, play 38 games in the previous season, and you're still not out of the woods. You know what I mean? So basically, on that basis, don't sign anyone.
Yeah, maybe we should just never sign anyone.
You know what I mean?
Play the medical team.
If we're worried about signing players to pick up injuries, there's no point signing anyone because everyone's picking up injuries.
You're right about that.
But look, I think if we do stay up, I think it's a really good signing for Spurs. I think he's a player that's really good on the ball, a good defender as well, and I think he'll really suit the way Roberto De Zerbi wants to play. So it just adds a bit more kind of quality in that area of the pitch. And last but not least, let's talk about Joao Palhinha. An interesting update on him from Florian Plettenberg as well, saying Tottenham are happy with Joao Palhinha. Spurs can imagine triggering the option to buy, but want to renegotiate the fee with Bayern. What was agreed at the time was an option to buy set at 25 million euros guaranteed, with a potential of add-ons that raises the fee to 30 million. If Bayern do not lower the price, the purchase is unlikely. Final decision will be at the end of the season. Bayern are open to the sale. His contract is valid until 2028. I mean, this is such a classic Tottenham update, isn't it? Like, there is nothing more classic. This is nothing more classic Tottenham than this. First of all, I think if we do sign him, that is like one of the most club signings I've ever seen. Like, I can't see him being a De Zerbi player. Maybe as like cover to come on in the like last 20 minutes in games to see us out. I can see him being value there, but for us to say, no, we're not signing him for 25 million. We don't want him for that price. We only want him for a massively cut price deal. I mean, 25 million is nothing in this day and age.
Yeah.
So if you believe in the player and you think that's going to scupper the deal, if that 25 million is a breaking point, there's no point signing the player because you don't really believe in him.
I agree. I guess the fact that he's 30 plays a part in it as well. But I do find it interesting. I wonder what's caused it, the fact that before De Zerbi's come in, by and large, the reports have been we're not interested in signing him permanently, and he's most likely going to go back to Bayern in the summer. Now De Zerbi's been here 2 weeks, all of a sudden we're getting these kind of reports that we actually do like him and we're thinking about keeping him, which surprises me because you would have thought, especially first of all, De Zerbi hasn't started him either of the 2 games, and secondly, I just think logically, you look at Palhinha, the kind of player he is, you would think he's not really going to be suited to what De Zerbi wants. He's not that kind of player who's brave on the ball, who plays with courage on the ball. Obviously, off the ball, I think he's got a lot of qualities. I don't think anyone can deny that off the ball, he is fantastic, and he's still been fantastic for us. I think his off-the-ball ability is up there with some of the best, but I think it's kind of the pros and cons, what you get with what you lose with him, and do you lose too much on the ball? I think I would argue yes, because I think in some games, a lot of games this season, not just his fault, but we just haven't been able to progress the ball. And I think he's been a bit of a black hole whenever he gets the ball. He just either goes out of play or he plays it very, very safe. And he doesn't play with that courage either because, look, maybe it's because of how Frank was playing with us. But also I feel like he's never been that player. And I think that's why Bayern let him go as well. So for me, it doesn't make sense. I'd much rather keep Bentancur potentially than Joao Palhinha. I think he has his uses. I wouldn't say he's a useless player or he's a bad player. He's not. And I think if we were to keep him for a cheap deal, I think there is some logic to it. But I think for me, I would much rather sell him and buy a player who's much more suited to what De Zerbi wants, in my opinion. So it doesn't make too much sense to keep on Palhinha, I would say, at this current moment in time. It'll be interesting to see if between now and the end of the season he does get a few starts, or 1 or 2 starts, and see how he does. And maybe he can surprise us in how he can play under De Zerbi. But right now, from what I've seen and what we know of him, it doesn't make too much sense.
Yeah, it's just like, I feel like regardless of how he is on the ball, which is obviously highly important for Roberto De Zerbi and the way he wants to play, I think what he gives you off the pitch in terms of experience and leadership and, that aspect of the stuff, I think he's very good at, and probably could be one of the best in our squad, maybe just below James Maddison, because who has more experience in our squad than Joao Palhinha? And it feels like this squad is in desperate need of direction, experience, and players that these kind of young players can learn off and lean on. And he might, provide good experience in that sense.
Potentially. I mean, yeah, he's been around the game for a while. He's 13. He's been at Bayern, Sporting, Fulham. He's played for a while. But for me, we have Gallagher, he's quite experienced. I mean, I know we'll maybe lose Romero, but I don't think it's as important as what we need to fit in De Zerbi's team. Look, it has its uses, as I say. I think it kind of makes sense in a way. If you can get him for a really cheap deal, then maybe do it. But I wouldn't pay. I don't know if I'd pay 25 million for him.
The thing is, keeping Joao Palhinha doesn't mean you can't get a player of what we need as well.
We just have so many midfielders.
On top of that, I know. Maybe some other players are going to have to go to make way for him. I'm undecided on it, to be honest. I like Joao Palhinha, and I think he's been good for us this season. He has been good for us. Scored some important goals for us as well. So, look, if you press me right now, what would I do with Joao Palhinha? Would I keep him? Would I send him back? I probably would send him back, just in favour of a real kind of deep lying playmaker. But if we do keep him, I can see why they've kept him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, as I say, I understand his uses, but it doesn't make too much. Unless we're letting go of Bentancur, but obviously Bissouma's probably going to go. We're already talking about maybe Sarr leaving because of the lack of space in the team as well. So to keep Palhinha in those circumstances, I don't know, it doesn't make too much sense. But
All right, well, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Would you like to see Joao Palhinha stay at Tottenham? Are you happy with the news that Marcos Senesi could be joining Spurs if Spurs do retain their Premier League status? Let us know your opinions in the comment section below. Big game. Big game against Wolves. Same time kickoff as West Ham at home to Everton. Tonight is Sunderland at home to Nottingham Forest. We'll be keeping a keen eye on that game as well. We're going to start off with our predicted lineup. In terms of the team news, what have we got?
So, as De Zerbi said in his presser, a doggy ruled out for this weekend. Hopefully, it's only a 1-week injury. We know Vicario is out. We know Maddison is going to be in the squad, but he's not unavailable to play. Romero's missing the end of the rest of the season. We know Sarr is out for this week, but hopefully back next week. And they obviously follow Odebear, Davis, Kudus, and Kulusevski, who are all pretty much confirmed to be out for the rest of the season. Obviously, and Romero on top of that as well. So, not a great situation again. It just seems as though the more the days go on, the more injuries we're picking up, and it's we've even just since Zerbi's come in, we've lost Kudus, we've lost Romero, now a doggy's gone down. So let's just hope we don't lose any more.
Yeah, absolutely. So the last two predicted lineups for Roberto De Zerbi's games, I think, have been quite hard to predict the lineup, but I think we might have a bit of an idea of what we're going to see now under Roberto De Zerbi, and I think this predicted lineup might get a little bit easier. Go for a 4-2-3-1 as we've been playing in the last couple of games. In goal, Vicario's out, so we know Antonin Kinski will most definitely be in goal. Yeah,
for sure. We also know Wolves, they like to obviously try and get the advantage of set pieces, and I think that's one thing Kinski as well been doing quite well in his first two games. He's brave. What I like about it is what I feel like with Vicario is when there's players around him, he struggles to come and get something on the ball, whereas Kinski is very brave. Either he's brave or he's stronger, one of the two. Because
confident in himself
confident.
as well.
He seems to come and be able to get something on those crosses, and that's really encouraging. So, yeah.
Yes, Anthony Kinski in goal. Right back, Pedro Porro. I think he's been so important to Spurs in these last couple of games, and I think he's performing well right now.
Yeah, I think he's one of the beneficiaries of Zerbi so far. Unlucky to be on the losing side against Brighton. Got a good goal. Going to be super important in this game, I feel. Especially with Spence. If we play Spence, or no spoilers, but I think he's going to be the one probably going a bit more forward, maybe from wing back, from full back, as opposed to the other side where a doggy
You'd expect so. You expect so. He's just so important in the way we build up under every manager. And I feel like in the last couple of games, he's been tasked the one of consistently crossing the ball into the box, scored, could have got another goal last game as well. So let's hope he provides as much influence in this game as he did against Brighton. Right centre-back will be Kevin Danso. Obviously, I thought he had a very good game against Brighton, but he did make that mistake at the end, which was a crucial mistake. And if he doesn't, you're talking about probably 3 points coming Spurs' way, and Spurs are sitting outside the relegation zone right now. So it's very unfortunate and really poor that he did make that mistake. That mistake also, by the way, was followed on by this abhorrent, disgusting racial abuse that he suffered across social media, and nobody wants to see that. And it's just disgusting.
And following on from that, Tottenham players will be wearing in the warm-up tomorrow Stand Up to Racism shirts in support of Kevin Danso, which is obviously a very nice touch for them. So obviously Danso will be in the team. Yeah, I think in an alternate universe, he could have been playing on the other side of the for the opposition in this game. So we'll play. It was interesting hearing De Zerbi talk about him in the press conference as well, saying he confirmed that he's going to be here next season because he likes his attitude and he likes his character, which is, I thought, quite interesting because no one really expected him to leave, but I just think him confirming he's going to be here next season was quite interesting. But I like Danso. I think he did do well. I did think he wasn't as good as the other defenders, to be honest, but I also thought he did a lot of good stuff, and we might have been behind if it wasn't for him as well on the flip side. But yeah, that mistake was obviously very costly. But let's hope he has a stronger game, and I think they're going to play, Adam Armstrong up front, Wolves, and I think Danso is going to be looking at that, thinking, you ain't touching the ball today, I think.
Absolutely. Left centre-back will be the captain on the day, Mickey van de Ven. I was getting to the stadium, getting to my seat last week against Brighton, and I said to the people around me, I see a different look in Mickey van de Ven's eyes today. I see he was really up for it, and he played like it. It was his best performance in a long time. So let's hope he can stick with that same attitude, same mentality, because that hasn't been good enough for the most part of the second half of the season. But definitely an uptick in performance from him, and we're going to need him like that for the rest of the season.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was much better. I think he was, again, what I liked about him is he seemed to take a bit more responsibility on the ball in terms of his passing a bit more progressively. I thought he was looking really strong in the duels. He wasn't losing any of them. I think the main thing that's been really evident in his dip in form is just been like losing markers and letting people get in behind him, and obviously he got that red card, and that was really unlike Van de Ven. So it looks like in the last game he cut it out, but again, it's only one game, so let's hope he continues to improve. But again, this Wolves side, as much as they're a threat, you look at their forward line, and I think Van de Ven should be able to dominate it.
Should be. Yeah. And then to make up that back four, in the absence of Destiny Udogie, we're going Jed Spence. It could be Souza because he is back in the squad, but he did say some very good words about Jed Spence as well in the press conference. And obviously, Jed Spence came on for Destiny Udogie when he went off with about half an hour, 25 minutes to go in the Brighton game. So yeah, Jed Spence.
Yeah, I can see a world where he does start to get frustrated with Spence in this game and does bring on Souza, only because the way Spence plays when he's a left back, he gets forward, but he just doesn't go on the outside. He doesn't trust his left foot, and he doesn't stretch the defence, so he doesn't create width. And that is going to be a big problem if, as anticipated, we're going to be playing Xavi out on the left-hand side, because Xavi needs that space to operate in the middle, and he needs that defender being dragged away, so he gets that space. And I think we did a good job of that against Brighton, and Udogie was doing a really good job of that. Now with Spence, maybe he adjusts things, because it's not like he hasn't played inverted fullbacks before, De Zerbi. So look, he's a very clever tactician. I'm sure he's thought of this, but we know this season it's been one of our big frustrations, hasn't it? Having Spence on that side and clogging up that space for the left winger. So let's hope we sort it out. But I'm sure defensively, I'm quite confident with him.
Yeah. So that's a back four with the goalkeeper Kinski in goal, Porro, Spence at wing back, Danso and Van de Ven at centre back. Moving on to the midfield, we're going to see a return to the lineup for Rodrigo Bentancur. A welcome return last week. I think he returned to the starting lineup a lot earlier than maybe we all thought. But yeah, he just offers that composure, that calmness, and being able to drive forward as well. So I loved Bentancur's performance, and let's hope he can last a bit longer in this game.
I think it probably goes to show how much he rates him or values him, because I think if it was another player, he probably doesn't risk it. But he thought, even though he clearly wasn't 100% fixed, he only lasted 65 minutes and was taken off, he thought, I need to play him. He's so important. And I was maybe thinking before Bentancur came, how much he's really going to change. But judging by that, maybe underestimated how much of a difference he can make, because when he's at his best, he, as you say, that composure he has is so important. But also, I think his reading of the game is much better than anyone else we have in that position. His ability to pick up loose balls, his ground coverage as well, really, really impressive, especially when he has a partner like Basuma next to him. I think he doesn't get caught out as much. And when you compare that to the likes of Gray, Palhinha, and Bergvall or Gallagher, I think it's much better, to be honest. It's just that football IQ, I think it's really high. So, look, it does make a difference.
Yeah. And alongside him, we're going to go for Yves Bissouma. I think, it's obviously harsh to leave Gray out because he's been on such great form. Bergvall coming back made a real impact off the bench last week as well. But there's something about this kind of pivot of Bentancur and Bissouma, our most experienced pivot as well. They work well together. We saw that in the Europa League run. Ange went to them in the Europa League run when we needed those wins, when we needed to get over the line. And I think De Zerbi's going to do the same. We need these wins, we need to get over the line, and we're going to go for our most experienced players. Yeah,
I think this is the pivot in right now that works best for us, because it just makes us more solid. I think it gives the better protection for the back four. I know Basuma went off on the hour mark last week, but I still think with his ability, if we can just tap into it and get him playing near his best, I think we're much better for it. And I think, again, him and Bentancur together, both quite comfortable on the ball, both willing to turn on the ball, both willing to play the passes forward as well. So it's very, very important. So yeah, I think Basuma retains his place. I know, as you say, I think in a perfect world, you probably go to Wolves and you're like, maybe can we put Bergvall there, or could we put even two number 10s next to each other? But I think in the circumstance that we're in, we have to place a bit of safety first. So I think those two, yeah, they're the ideal.
To make up that third man in midfield, we're going to go for Conor Gallagher. I think he had a much better performance against Brighton than we've seen since he's joined Tottenham Hotspur. You know, what we thought he was going to bring in terms of what he brings off the ball, winning those duels, you know, just getting the ball, just winning the ball back in the middle of the park. We just hadn't seen that from him. He looked so weak in a lot of games since he's joined Spurs. But in this game, it looks as like De Zerbi has really kind of got an arm around him and just got him back to doing his basics and doing what he does best. And I feel like he did that against Brighton. So hopefully he can show a bit more on the ball, be a bit more of a goal threat in this game. But it was definitely a step in the right direction for Conor Gallagher.
Yeah, I think definitely his best game, or one of his best games in a Tottenham squad, maybe second to Man City. The only thing I would say about Gallagher is pressing was great. Obviously, was very involved in the opening goal and all that kind of stuff. I want to just see a bit more of his ability in the final third, which we have seen at Palace. We've seen at Chelsea as well. His ability to get on the end of things, late runs in the box, shots on goal. How many shots has he taken as a Tottenham player? Not many. You know, I can't think of off the top of my head too many shots he's taken. He threatened a bit against Brighton. I remember a couple of times he was like dribbling in the box and just couldn't get the shot away, had like a shot blocked. Hopefully this is the game where we start to see a lot more, I should say, of him in that final third, getting on the ball and, you know, actually being a threat and causing damage, because that is just something that's been surprisingly lacking. I would have thought we'd seen a lot more of that from Gallagher.
Yeah, because you remember at that time at Chelsea, in that second half of the season under Pochettino, he was doing so well in crashing the box, those late runs into the box, and actually being a goal threat and showing his shooting ability from the edge of the area as well. I want to see more of that. So Conor Gallagher in the 10. Now, we move on to the front three. Left-hand side, we are going to go for Xavi Simons. Obviously, a fantastic performance. Deserved the win with the goal contributions he provided. You can saw that this guy is the guy that has the X factor in this team. He's the one that can create something out of nothing, provide that brilliant assist for Pedro Porro, provide that goal as well. Proper magic moments. And those moments deserved the win last week. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Let's hope he can provide them again, you know, because that goal that he scored, nobody in our squad has been able to do that pretty much since Sonny was in his prime.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I know a lot of people can be frustrated by him. He does sometimes have a loose touch or a bad overhits a pass or things like that. Sometimes he does lack a bit of care on the ball. That's something that maybe with time that would improve that efficiency. He does seem to be a bit of an efficient player, but he is still very young. People forget, you know, only 22. It seems like he's been around for ages, so he should be like really experienced everything, but he is still so young. He's still right at the beginning of his career. So I think for me, what you lose, what you don't get with efficiency and maybe ball security and maybe frustration, you do get with, as you said, that ability at any moment to come up with something, just a little bit of magic, that little bit special, which is something that we've been saying all season we've been lacking. How many times have we said this season, you know, Tottenham have always had a great player in their squad, and at the moment it just doesn't seem like we have any good players. Well, hopefully if we just keep feeding Xavi, we just keep giving him the opportunity, even if he keeps giving it away, you just keep giving it to him, because, you know, if you give him the ball 10 times, he might lose it 9 times, but maybe he'll do something on that 10th time, and maybe that will be the winning goal. So I think it's been a learning curve for Xavi this season for sure, but let's hope in this late run of games he can come into his own now and start really providing those goals and assists, which De Zerbi has been saying in interviews that that's what he needs to be doing. Yeah,
I am a bit worried of the left-hand side of the pitch now Destiny's there, because Destiny does such a good job of stretching the pitch and providing width for the team, which allows Xavi Simons to come inside a bit more and causes damage. But now Spence is going to be on that side. It's going to be a different dynamic.
Yeah, I agree, which is something we've mentioned, but let's just hope De Zerbi's thought about it and he comes up with a way of making it work somehow.
Now, the right-hand side, Kolo Muani has played there the last 2 games. Matisse Tell come on both games. First game, didn't make too much of an impact. Second game, I thought he did better than what Muani showed in the last 2 games. What are we thinking? Are we thinking Muani sticks with Muani, or does he go with Matisse Tell?
I think he's going to give Tell a go. I think, obviously, Muani got hauled off on the 57th minute, was it, against Brighton. I don't think he was too delighted with his performance. He did mention it a bit in his press conference. He said Tell and Muani can both play better, but he said, I'm saying that not because they're playing badly, but because they have more to give. That was kind of his way of saying it. But I think Moani has kind of not really impressed too much over the last 2 games. And I think it's probably time to give Tell an opportunity. And as you said, I think Tell did okay. I mean, I don't think he was amazing, but he did probably better than Moani. So I've got a feeling he's going to give Tell a go here. I think he's going to give Tell a go on the right-hand side. And if it doesn't work, maybe he'll haul him off on the hour and bring Moani on.
You know, I've actually got a feeling he's going to stick with Moani, but I'd much prefer to see Tell out there. So let's go for Tell.
Oh, click the wrong thing.
So there we go. Matthijs Tell on the right-hand side for potentially his first start under Roberto De Zerbi. Now we move on to the number 9. Richarlison didn't get a minute against Brighton.
Wasn't it? Surprising.
Started on the left-hand side, didn't he, in the first game against Sunderland. Solanke has started both games. I assume he's going to go for Solanke, but Richarlison should be completely fresh, hasn't he? He hasn't played in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. I think he will go Solanke. I think one of the dynamics that was actually really working for me was Solanke and Xavi against Brighton. I think they were linking up really well. I don't think he's going to want to lose that. And also, I think obviously Solanke offers quite a lot outside of the goal threat as well with his hold-up play and ability. If we do go long, he's more likely to either flick it on or keep the ball rather than Richarlison. I would be surprised if Richarlison gets 0 minutes again. I do think he'll come on, but I think Solanke starts again.
Yeah, I do agree. I wouldn't mind seeing Richarlison start because, you know, he's provided much more of a goal threat and showed much more of an ability to put the ball in the back of the net. And that's what we need. We just need killers right now. I know Richarlison's not exactly the definition of a killer, but he has shown an ability to put the ball in the back of the net. He's our top goal scorer this season, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Richarlison.
Was it 10 Premier League goals? 9 Premier League goals?
Yeah. So I wouldn't mind it, but I also
think Super Sub is a better role for him, in my opinion.
I don't doubt that. Yeah, I agree. I don't mind seeing Solanke start, albeit I don't think he's been great for a while now. But anyway, let's get into this. Let's round up the lineup. We've got Kinski in goal, Spence at left back, Porro at right back, Danso and Van der Ven in the centre back positions, a middle 3 of Bentancur, Bissouma and Conor Gallagher, Matthijs Tell on the right, Xavi Simons on the left, Solanke up top. What is your score prediction?
I am going to go with a 2-1 win for
Come
Tottenham.
on!
I think we're going to do it this weekend. I think we're going to get that monkey off our back and it's going to light the fire that is going to take us to the end of the season.
Don't talk about lighting fires, man. Don't start with the
give us that spark,
bollocks.
that bulb it's going to spark. Yeah, I think we're going to win. I don't think it's going to be easy. We know. I think, in other circumstances, this would be a game we probably win comfortably. But the situation we're in now, I think the pressure's going to be on, obviously, to win. I don't think we're going to, play free-flowing. We're just going to... Free-floating. We're just going to take them to the sword. I think there'll be times we play really good football when we're on a game. There'll be times where we're allowing Wolves back in the game and where the anxiety comes back in. I reckon that we probably go... I'm going to predict we go 2-0 up. Wolves get back in the game. It's a very, very nervy ending. But we just see it over the line. But I'm going to go 2-1.
Yeah, look, nothing is an option but winning. Tomorrow. Nothing. We have to win. We've got Nottingham Forest playing Sunderland tonight. They could easily drop points. Got West Ham playing Everton at the same time. They could easily drop points. Spurs have to do the business, and I'm backing them to do the business as well. I'm going to go for 2-1. We take that same mentality in terms of how we fought and the football that we showed at times. If we take that into this game, you have to win. If you don't beat bottom of the league, already relegated bottom of the league, in the position that we're in, we deserve to go down. That's the reality. So let's go out there, let's win the game, and let's live to fight another day. Because if we lose this game, I think that's that. I really believe that. So let us know your score predictions in the comment section below. Let us know your predicted lineups as well. As we'll move in to the match preview, it is a massive, massive, massive day. Even Sim got a trim for it. Look at that. Sim's looking fresh and raring to go to Wolverhampton
for a fresh
tomorrow.
Tottenham.
Exactly.
Tottenham are going to be fresh tomorrow.
And we're looking to get our first win of 2026. Spurs playing bottom of the league Wolves. And we just have to do the business. And, it's not going to be an easy game. We all say, we're playing bottom of the league. We have to win, we do.
Which is all true.
But it's not a give-me game as the table suggests or what Wolves suggest, because Wolves have been a lot better, particularly at home in the last month. You know, last 2 home games, they've picked up wins against Liverpool, picked up wins against Aston Villa. They took a point off Arsenal not long ago as well.
They did.
So, I mean, they've actually pulled some big scalps at Molineux in recent months. And let's hope Tottenham ain't another one.
Yeah, you've got to say that, you know, at one point they were obviously threatening to beat Derby's record, and everyone was saying, you know, this is one of the worst Premier League sides that has ever been. And to be fair, even with the points tally they've got now, it still holds true. But they've obviously shown they're a lot better and than what they were showing first half of the season. They were playing for pride mostly in the second half. But Rob Edwards has really got them, you know, showing that there is life, even if they do go down, there is life in this team. Then, you know, he is a good manager, and you know, the results they've been getting is very impressive for a team in their position. You would think that in those games there's no chance they'll get anything, and yet they've stuck in them, they've fought, they've made it difficult, and they've ended up getting the results. Now, it's interesting if you look at those games in isolation, individually. Like the Arsenal game, they were 2-0 up and cruising, and they conceded a worldie and just completely took their foot off the gas. But if you actually look at it, they should have won that game comfortably. You look at the Liverpool game, they were, I think they had so many chances, Liverpool. But I think Wolves didn't actually have a shot until they scored to go 1-0 up. Liverpool then equalised very quickly, and then it became a very basketball game right at the end, didn't it?
Well, in that game, Liverpool had 2.56 XG. Wolves had 0.44.
Yeah, so again, another game where if Liverpool either weren't complacent or whatever, they should have won that game, if you're being honest, but they let it get away from them. I think even after 1-1, Liverpool had loads of chances. They missed then. I think they scored with a deflection, didn't they, Wolves? And right at the end, and they got the winner. So it wasn't like my point being, it wasn't like Wolves outplayed those teams, but they got the result. So you got to respect that. And to get the Villa, you could argue they might have outplayed them because that was a good performance and that was quite an even game. And you could say Wolves probably deserves the win or deserves something out of that one. But I think when you look at the Arsenal and Liverpool one, they weren't better than Arsenal and Liverpool. They just got the result by sticking with it, showing a bit of grit. But they did have a lot of luck in that game as well. So my point being, if we turn up and we put ourselves in a commanding position, we just got to make sure we're not complacent like those teams, and we win the game, and we don't let Wolves back in the game like Liverpool and Arsenal did, because it wasn't due to, I think, Wolves' amazing play that they got back in those games. I do think it was more Liverpool and Arsenal getting complacent and taking their foot off the gas. And obviously, even in the Arsenal game, remember, it was a massive mistake from Raya right at the end, which obviously gave them the goal. It wasn't anything amazing Wolves did. It was just a terrible error. So we just got to avoid those things. And if we do, we should win this game. But it is evidence that if you're not on your game and you are complacent and you think this game's going to be easy, they can take points off you.
Yeah, the thing is, though, it's just like Spurs have not been clinical enough for a while. We haven't shown an ability to score consistent goals, and we need our players to step up in that aspect. We need Conor Gallagher to provide more for us on the ball and to be a goal threat. We need Dom Solanke to get in the box a bit more and provide a goal threat. We need Matisse Tell or Moani, whoever it may be, on the right-hand side to get a lot better in those aspects as well. We know what Javi Simmons can bring. He brought it in the last game. But even him, he needs to step up a notch and be a bit more consistent throughout the game. So I think if our attacking players can actually perform and actually provide a goal threat, then there's no reason why we don't win this game.
I agree, but I do think we also have to be careful when we think about this game and we think about comparing it to the Brighton game, because I think in just style of
it's different game.
Completely different game. And if you actually compare it, it's probably more likely to be more similar to the Sunderland game than it is to the Brighton game. You even look at the Brighton game, when you think about the chances we created, off the top of my head, most of them were Tottenham winning the ball high up the pitch and springing on Brighton in a transition and exploiting the space they left behind. And obviously Brighton were the ones dominating possession for lots of that game, whereas against Sunderland it was quite different, wasn't it? They were springing on us, and I don't know what the possession stats. I think it was quite even, but I think Sunderland we had more, didn't we? And then Brighton they had more.
Yeah, against Sunderland we had 48% possession.
Okay, so less. But I think Brighton there was a lot less. I think there's going to be very, very different games. I think in this game we're going to be the ones asked to dominate.
In Brighton we had 42% possession.
Yeah, so it was quite different. In this game against Wolves, we're probably going to have more possession, I would assume, and we're going to be asked to break them down. And that's, against Liverpool and Arsenal, even when you played Arsenal at the Emirates as well, they were quite resolute in those games. They weren't giving up easy chances. It was quite difficult to break them down. So unless we're winning the ball up high and using all our energy to force mistakes, I can see it being a bit difficult to do it unless we get a bit of magic from the likes of Xavi.
I guess the difference as well is the personnel we had available in both games. I think Bentancur does make a hell of a lot of a difference. An ability to actually, like we said before, a bit of calmness, a bit of composure. We had Bergvall, Gallagher and Gray at Sunderland, and none of them performed well, didn't they? Bergvall put in his worst display that I can remember. Archer Gray wasn't at the levels maybe he has been in recent weeks.
Xavi didn't play as well.
And Xavi didn't play, yeah, exactly. That's a good point. And Conor Gallagher was just awful that day as well. So I think with a better, stronger midfield, and also against Sunderland, we're coming up against a much stronger midfield with the likes of Siddiqui and Xhaka, who played really well on the day. The Wolves midfield, you're looking at a midfield of maybe a Bentancur, Bissouma and Gallagher. You expect that Spurs midfield can dominate this Wolves midfield.
Yeah, agreed. Obviously, Sunderland, as you say, have been much better than Wolves have been this season. That's for sure. To be fair, Wolves do have Andre, Joao Gomez, two good players. They're not bad players.
Yeah.
I think both of them could be Premier League players, to be honest. I think Angel Gomez is injured, I believe, so I don't think he's going to be playing. Although it doesn't say he's injured, but I thought he did get injured. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought he got injured. And they play a back three system, don't they, Wolves? So how that affects us. We haven't, both Sunderland and Brighton both played with a full back four. So playing with wing backs, how we're going to be able to deal with that is going to be a different challenge to what we've faced. Obviously, you have to take the positives of what we did against Brighton and hopefully take that into this game against Wolves. But I hope, and if we do maybe get an early goal, we break the deadlock and we open up the game a bit more, all of a sudden maybe this game can be more similar to the Brighton one. But I feel like Wolves are going to make it a very different game. What I would say is if we do pen them in, I look at like their front line, and Adam Armstrong just ain't the paciest, is he? And you've got Van de Ven being able to just run in behind and mop anything up. I can't see, I see them struggling to get Adam Armstrong in behind too much. But one player who's just a very annoying player is Bellegarde, because he's just so hard to get the ball off. He never really does anything though, but he's just like, he's a very good player at like getting them up the pitch and just buying time for his teammates to get up the pitch as well. So he's one I'll make sure we just shut him down. If he's not getting any influence, I think they do struggle a bit more to really get up the pitch and create chances. But he's one definitely I'd watch. Get frustrated with and make sure he's getting shut down. But I mean, I'm looking at their team. There's not, obviously on paper, we should have the advantage, shouldn't we? Hugo Bueno's a bit of an underrated wing back. He's not bad. On the left, obviously, he scored a great goal against Arsenal, didn't he? 25 yards. But I think if we're dominated, if we're in a pattern of the game where De Zerbi wants us, which is controlling the ball with the ball, controlling the game with the ball, I should say, penning Forest in, I can see there being moments where they're being penned in and struggling to get out.
Yeah, and that's when we need to up that quality and show that we can be a bit more of a goal threat and be clinical. I think Spurs need to come out of the traps at 1,000,000 miles an hour. We need to show that we're the dominant team and we need to put them under pressure from early doors, because I do fear for us massively if we concede the first goal.
Yeah,
we have to concede score the first goal in this game. I think it's imperative.
Reality is we haven't. I've been saying that this stat throughout the whole season, but we haven't won a game since when we've gone behind. So if we go behind.
We've rarely won a game when we've gone ahead either, Sims.
Yeah, true. But statistically, we don't win. We haven't won. So the chances of us winning if we go behind are going to be extremely slim. So, you're right. We don't win games anyway, but we just can't concede the first goal. We need to make sure. I also think it lays down a marker for them. Like, this ain't going to be, you're already down. We're going to put you to the sword, and if you're going to get anything out of this game, you're going to have to find something extra to get something. And are you going to find it without that motivation of the points actually mattering? And obviously, they have lost 3 and 4-0 the last 2 games. Is that emblematic of that pride they were playing with starting to deteriorate a bit and actually them starting to lose their way?
I think they find it at home. I really do. I think at Molineux, I think it's a different when they got their fans behind them, which their fans will still be behind them even though they're going down. they're going to want to beat us. They're going to want to drag us down to their level and bring us down to the Championship with them.
But you look at those losses, they haven't really been getting battered like that, like even away from home.
Yeah.
For a while. Like, I don't see too many big losses there.
That West Ham game, they were actually started off the better of the two teams, didn't they? They were dominant, they were creating chances, and then once West Ham scored, they kind of crumbled and fell apart. So that's what we need to do. We need to get that early goal, and we need to do a quick fire, even 2 goals, 2-0 up at half time or something like that. Get those goals early. And then I think, we can get those 3 points.
I really think this is the typical game. This is like the archetypal game of if you want it more, you win.
Yeah.
Because there is no way that Wolves should want it more than us. There is no way in the world, there shouldn't be a world where Wolves show more effort, more desire, more passion, win more duels, run more. There is not a world that should happen. And I really believe if we outrun them, if we outwork them, there is no way they win this game. I really believe that.
I agree.
And so if we want it more, that is the main thing we've got to show. Because they're already down. I know they're playing with pressure off. But pressure off also means that you're not really bothered about what the outcome is. As much as that relieving on the pressure can mean maybe your passes are more accurate, they're more maybe forward thinking, and maybe you're actually thinking about attacking a bit more because you're not too worried about conceding, and that can lead to maybe you making that extra run into the box and you making that extra risk, which can cause the opposition problems. And obviously they've gone on to get some good results. But it also means if they are down 1 or 2-0, are they really going to have the stomach and the fight to get out of that situation? Are they going to be able to fight even more to get a result which when it doesn't look like it's on the cards, or are they going to lose belief and accept defeat a lot easier when the pressure's off? And that's also on the flip side of being the pressure off. That can also happen, and people don't talk about that as much. And that's also absolutely true. So if we take them to the sword, make sure that we early on let them know, look, we're going to want this more than you. Just lie down because this game's not going to be for you. Then we'll win this game. But if we come into this thinking like, tepid, thinking, it's going to be a very difficult game and let's not give them too much, let's not risk it, let's not be brave because this game is so important to be, we can't go into this game with the mentality of, never show any risk because if we concede...
you go and attack the game from the first whistle.
You have to be brave. Even if that means conceding the first goal, you do have to be brave in this game. And I understand that scary thought because, as we've said before, when we've conceded first, we haven't won. But we have to be brave in this game and we have to take the game to Wolves because if we want it more, we'll win this game. If we're braver, we'll win this game. And we have to show that on the pitch. Yeah,
absolutely. But, there's the other element as well. We have not beaten Wolves in the Premier League since Nuno Espirito was our manager, which is just nuts. Isn't it? At Wolves, anyway. We have not gone to Molineux and won since that second game of the season. 1-0, Dele Alli penalty. How mad is that? Nuno was our manager the last time we won at Wolves. I just can't believe. They are the biggest bogey team for us. We never perform again, even earlier on in the season.
It's weird. So I was looking at the stats. So we haven't won in the last 6. Yeah, before that, we were on a run of unbeaten in 14, 11 wins and 3 draws. So we were their bogey team at one point. Now they're our bogey team. 6 wins for a team like Wolves is nuts as well, considering the last 2 seasons they've been awful, haven't they? Been in relegation battles. It's just a crazy situation that we haven't.
They do to us what we do to Man City.
Yeah, literally.
Pretty much. Which is just nuts. I just can't believe that we're on this little run or big run where Wolves just consistently beat us, consistently get points of us, year in, year out. Again, they taken points at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium this year, earlier on in the season, where we had to have a last-minute equaliser from Joao Palhinha, where he's taking off his shirt and going nuts.
Last season, I remember away from home, it was a bad one. We lost 4-2. But then at home, I remember we completely outplayed them and they scored in the last minute, didn't they? Stratton Larson.
Yeah.
And we should have really won that game comfortably.
We were 2-1 up at half-time.
Yeah, we should have won that game.
Sonny missed the penalty.
Yeah. That was that was a game we should have definitely won. Under Ange, I think they did the double over us. They remember that game? They scored 2 in the last minute. 2 in the last minute. They did that to us.
That was Pedro Neto.
Pedro Neto. No, it was
Pedro Neto
Sarabia.
ran the whole way up the pitch.
That was
Do you
the other
remember?
game.
Oh, that was the other game.
That was at home. We lost 2-1. Yeah, that happened as well. Joao Gomez scored a brace. The one away from home, it was just off the back of all our wins. And we had the Chelsea game, and everyone was like, okay, Chelsea was bad, but get back on track. We 1-0 up from I think we were 1-0 up from like minute 2 to like minute 90 because Johnson scored really early.
Yeah, third minute.
And then
91st and 97th minute. I remember being there that day, man. That was
painful. Under Ange. And then under Conte, we beat them. No, didn't we beat them early in the season? Harry Kane.
Maybe at home. I'm talking about the away games.
Just away.
Yeah.
So we beat them at home. Then the away game, it was we lost 1-0. That was right. They scored a free kick.
82nd minute.
No, Adama Traore.
Traore.
It in.
It's always late goals with Wolves. Always.
Then I remember we lost 2-0 under Conte when we were in the top 4 race. I think we were 2-0 down very early. And then we made a double substitution in the first half.
Jimenez and Dendoncker. No, just one substitution in the first half.
Oh, one substitution in the first half.
It was Kulusevski for Sessegnon.
I remember we couldn't believe our eyes in that game as well.
Sorry, Sessegnon for Kulusevski.
So they just have a way about playing us, don't they?
Well, this has to end. This has to end tomorrow. It has to. Because if we lose tomorrow, I cannot see a way that Spurs can beat this. Like, how have you got 5 games left to go? The first of the 5 games is against bottom of the league Wolves, already relegated, and you don't win. Like, then what hope do you have? What hope do we have if we don't win tomorrow?
Definitely, yeah. I think the belief will not be there from this team, especially in the fan base, that we can get out of this if we don't win. Now, it'd be interesting to see how our reaction would be if we do, like, let's say, lose and West Ham lose, and then the gap doesn't change. Will there be still a bit of glimmer of hope there that they lost? So if we can win the next one, but the reality is we can't keep saying, yeah, if we win the next one, yeah, if we win the next one, yeah, if we win the next one, because games are running out, and with each game that you don't win, the belief ebbs away that you are going to win a game. And so it has to be this weekend. It just has to be. And if we can get that monkey off our back, I think one win can get the ball rolling. It can snowball into something.
And also, like, because we were so close, we could taste that victory last week. 95th minute, conceding a goal. You know, that was so soul-destroying. And if we can't back that up with a win, I think that's going to be even more soul-destroying because of how close we were to tasting that 3 points.
I feel like we just need to be in the lead by at least a couple goals going into that stoppage time. Because if we're only 1 goal in the lead, are we gonna shit it? Are we gonna bottle it? Because I don't know if I trust us to hold a 1 goal lead.
No.
It has to be at least 2.
It has to be. To
make us comfortable.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So let's just hope and pray we turn up tomorrow. Hope and pray we can get those 3 points. And regardless of what West Ham or Nottingham Forest do, a win will be big for us tomorrow, just to get that monkey off our back, just to prove to themselves that they can win a game of football. Because they haven't won a game of football since December. They have to just be able to show themselves they can win.
Chelsea on their 3rd manager since our last win.
It's mad, isn't it? It's mad.
We've gone through the whole Rossini tenure and we haven't won.
Oh, God.
It's mental. I predict if we do win, I think by come the end of come full time, we'll be out of the relegation zone.
Yeah,
that's my feeling. I
think so. I think West Ham draw with Everton.
Yeah,
it's a tough game for West Ham.
Yeah, I don't think they'd be Everton. Look, if they do, fair play to them. It's not obviously impossible, but I just get the feeling they're going to drop points. Yeah. So if we do win, I think that could be massive. And I think the psychological boost of being outside the relegation zone, I think will be big as well.
Yeah, good luck to you at Molyneux, mate, because the internet connection is absolutely horrific there.
Oh,
so trying to get the Everton West Ham goal score when you're there is going to be a hard task. But look, we'll be here on the watch long. And, we'll be covering both games. It's going to be an emotional day, whatever happens. So come and join us. We're both going for Spurs wins. Believe we can get it. Believe, people, we have to get it. I've not even got a loss in my mind, but that's probably famous last words. How many times have we gone into a game expecting a win and we just fall flat on our asses? Specifically against Wolves, Because it seems to happen every season against Wolves. Every time we go into it saying, surely we can't lose to these lot again. Surely we can't drop points to these lot again. Alas, we drop points. So I'm definitely going into it with my eyes wide open of what can happen. But we just need the win. We just have to get it. So believe people, because if we don't, then it's all fucking over and all hell can break loose. But yeah, let us know your score predictions. Yeah, just want it more. Fight. We need to see fight on that pitch like we saw against Brighton. But this time they need to hold on, and this time they need to take their chances as well when they come their way. Because I think we can definitely get chances against Wolves. It's all about just putting them away. So yeah, let us know your score predictions. Come and join us on the watch along. Sim will be at Molineux getting you all the content from inside the ground. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment, and come on you Spurs.